My dad was yelling my name out. My mom told him, stop calling her. You're not going to see her ever again. That's when I knew, like, oh, like, they're going to do something really bad. And then I saw my dad's head fling back.
Era como si estuviera controlado mi hermano.
The horror of the crime, there has to be accountability when somebody loses their life in this tragic way.
Se lo mató. ¿Cómo sabes eso? Porque yo estuve allí.
My name is Maxxy Lopez. When I was 12 years old, I witnessed my mom and half-brother murder my father. And I didn't tell a single soul for years. Miguel Lopez, that's my dad's name. Everyone tells me like I am literally my dad, just like in the girl version. He was really like creative, so like every time it was like Christmas, any holiday, he would go all out. He liked to sing a lot, mostly like those Spanish corridos, mostly like romantic songs.
Desde chicos estuvimos siempre juntos, siempre conviviendo, estando, nunca nos separamos. Convivimos mucho durante más de 20 años en un solo trabajo.
That's Melquin. The relationship with Melquin and my dad, they were really close. I remember Melquin was like calling him dad.
What is your father doing? He just accusing, like, because my mom's just looking at his phone and he just gets crazy and everything.
Y los fui a traer a su casa de él cuando tuvo una pelea con la mamá de Maxxy y prácticamente pasamos 3 meses juntos.
When he moved out, my mom wasn't allowing me and my siblings to talk to him. She would take my phone away so I wouldn't call him or text him. So if he would try to come over and call us through the gate, she would say, that's not your dad. You can't talk to him. He doesn't love you.
Esa misma noche cuando él salió para ver a Maxxy, ya supuse que algo estaba mal porque siempre estábamos en comunicación. Y siempre al llamarle él me contestaba, pero ya nunca llamó.
I think my uncle, he suspected it was my mom. He showed up the day after and he was just like, where's my brother? This is the last location he came to. He has to be here. He did get the cops to come and the cops searched the house. I remember my mom telling the cops that he was supposed to come, but that he just never came and that we just never saw him.
Heidi, de que Miguel estaba en México, pero yo ya sabíamos otra cosa.
I remember that day I woke up, I went to the living room and I heard my mom on the phone. But I knew it was my dad because she had it like on the loudspeaker, so you could hear like his voice echoing through the phone. And I remember her just hysterically telling him, oh, Maxine, you're sick, come, they have a high fever, you need to come help them. So then I remember trying to tell my mom, we're not sick. And I remember she was just like, shh, like, don't be quiet, go over there, like, mind your business. And I don't know how much time passed, but I remember I heard the door open and I heard his voice. I came out kind of peeking through the door, and my sister too, she was kind of peeking, and I was like, oh, like my dad's here. My mom told him that there's like a box, he could reach it for her, so he had to like turn around to do that, and he was tall, so he had to stretch his arms really like high up. That's when I just seen Melquin just come behind him, drag him down from the waist, put him on this chair that was on the living room, and they both immediately started like tying his wrist. I was just confused and like shocked and frozen. I was just like, what's going on? But I was so scared of like my mom like getting mad or anything, so I was just kind of staying back. And they pulled out his phone from his pocket and they were like, let's see who is your new family that you betrayed us with. My dad at the time, I remember he was laughing because he thought it was a joke, like a prank, because he kept saying, okay, I get it, like joke's over. And then at that time too, I'm like, maybe it is a joke. Maybe they're just trying to like, scare him or something. But when she said, you're not going to see your family, you're not going to see your new wife, that's when I started to realize, like, this doesn't sound normal. This sounds scary. Like, I'm scared. My sister was there, but she wasn't next to me. She was actually behind the stove. I would constantly look at her and she would just be frozen, just like watching. I felt like I couldn't move, like this numb feeling where if I tried to lift my hand, it was heavy and like the walls were kind of closing. My dad was yelling my name out like I think 5 times, and My mom told him, stop calling her. You're not gonna see her ever again. That's when I knew, like, oh, like, this is, like, they're gonna do something really bad. And that's when my mom told Melquin, go ahead. And I just seen Melquin put his hands over my dad's neck for, like, I don't know how long, but to me it felt like a long time. I remember my mom encouraged Melquin because he was kind of getting tired because he kept stopping. She kept saying keep going, and I was just like, why is she doing this? Like, why is she saying keep going? Until I saw my dad's head fling back and everything just went silence. Like, I didn't hear him scream no more. It was just quiet, and I saw his head just laying there. She still had the audacity to kiss him, and she said, rest in peace. Before my dad flung his head back, he did throw up, and it was just like red, and it was a strong odor. And I remember they started cleaning and mopping and putting bleach all over the floor, so I went to my room. I remember just crying and trying to take care of my brother because my brother kept kind of crying and like asking for things. And my sister, she was just crying and she wasn't really telling me anything. After like I think 10 minutes, I went back, and when I looked down towards the wall, there was this like long bag, kind of like a laundry bag. When I saw how long it was, I immediately like knew like he's in there. And they were just casually just cleaning, fixing the living room, just like putting everything away. Melquin and my mom, they were picking up the bag. She was just like laughing like hysterically and saying like, wow, like he really eats a lot. He's so heavy, like he's like a pig. Melquin had like no expression. He was just kind of following along, helping her take out the bag.
After that happened, they cleaned up the crime scene a little bit, and they put Miguel's body into a bag, loaded it into the back of their Ford Expedition, and then they drove it about 1.5 miles away to a location on Harbor Boulevard in South Los Angeles. And they basically took him out of the truck, put it into an abandoned lot right inside of like a temporary fence, poured gasoline on it, and set it on fire. And then they drove off. The LAPD finds the body. Because of the burning, his body was so badly disfigured that they were not able to immediately determine who he was. Francisco, Miguel's brother, makes the missing persons report to the sheriff's department. It was LAPD territory, but the sheriff's department, a separate agency, was the one that took the missing persons report. And the two did not connect his disappearance with that burning body. So the sheriff's department assigned the missing persons investigation to their missing persons unit. Heidi told them that Miguel was a deadbeat dad and he just wanted to run off on his kids and he didn't want to have anything to do with child support, and so he was going to disappear out of country and never to be heard from again. The person who conducted the missing persons investigation, that was their conclusion. They credited Heidi's explanation of Miguel's disappearance, even though she admitted she was the last person to see him alive.
Todo lo hacía por ellos prácticamente. Él no pudo haber desaparecido así como así, y menos dejando a sus hijos.
My relationship with my mother when I was little was close, but after when everything happened, it was like weird. We wouldn't get along. She was just being really like mean to me. She would really mention that I look like my dad a lot, and she would just say like, oh, like that's why you're like ugly and that's why I don't like you and stuff like that. My mom was forcing us to live a normal life. Like she would get mad when we would cry about that we missed him. When we were to school, my mom would tell me, you better not say anything about this or the same thing's gonna happen to you. My mom and Melquin wouldn't really talk to my uncle at all. They also would tell me that my uncle hates me. Everything my mom was saying was just lies.
The difference between a domestic violence case and any other type of case is our key witnesses are usually people who are connected to both the victim and to the defendant. They're going to face unusual pressures to not be honest about what happened from the people who committed the violence against their family members.
After it happened, Melquin would ask me, why are you crying? And I would tell him, I saw what you did. And he would be like, your dad's in Mexico? There was a moment when I was younger that I kept telling myself, what if that didn't happen? Like, maybe I am crazy. Maybe I was hallucinating, like how Melquin told me.
The defense certainly played on that angle. to say that a 12-year-old's memory is not going to be reliable. I've prosecuted a lot of cases with child victims. One of the basic functions of our memory is to keep us alive. And so things that are traumatic like that, those are the kinds of things that tend to be very durable memories. We tend to remember those things for a very long time.
Me and my sister didn't speak about it until I moved out when we were a little more older, and I had asked her, do you know what happened to Dad? And she's like, yes, I do. I'm not the only one who saw this.
Fue un día del padre. Maxxy quería que yo le ayudara con unos papeles porque su hermana quería seguir estudiando. Y fui a la casa donde vivía Heidi. Y ahí fue cuando me contó como lo que le había pasado a mi hermano.
I feel like I should have just told him when he asked me the first time, but I felt more brave. I felt ready. I didn't want to live with that guilt anymore. I wanted him to help me.
Sí le creí porque prácticamente era lo que yo pensaba desde el principio. Al saber lo que pasó, ya sabía que no iba a poder volverlo a abrazar, para decir cuánto lo quiero.
He wasn't like angry at all. He was really emotional, and he told me like we were gonna do this together. Like, don't be scared. This was someone's life that mattered, and we have to get the truth out.
Maxxy came forward and told the LAPD that she had witnessed her mother and her brother kill her father. It would have been extremely difficult for her to come forward when she was still a minor and still under her mother's custody. I think she came forward at the right time for her. I think she's really brave for doing that. Rick Feria is the homicide detective that was assigned to this case. On the law enforcement side, he's absolutely the hero. He took a statement from Maxxy. Maxxy said that there had been this independent witness who was her mother's friend, and her mother had called over to watch the kids, which she didn't do very well because the kids saw the murder.
That was my mom's best friend. My mom had paid her to babysit me and my sister to make sure we don't get out the room, but she was just like chilling like on her phone.
The detectives were able to locate her. She was now living out of state. They started asking her questions like, hey, what can you tell us about murder? She initially was like, oh, murder? What, I don't know what you're talking about. And then they were like, well, what about Miguel Lopez? And she's like, oh, Miguel Lopez, you should have mentioned his name. She's like, yes, I did see him get murdered.
Se lo mató. ¿Cómo sabes eso? Porque yo estuve allí. Yo miré cuando ellos mataron al señor.
The witness said that there had been this long-standing plan. Miguel had moved on to a new girlfriend. The new girlfriend was pregnant, and that provoked Heidi. She came up with this plan where the three of them would lure him over and do this murder. They still had to definitively say that this burned body was Miguel Lopez. So that required LAPD detectives to go down to Oaxaca in southern Mexico and met with Miguel's parents. They collected their DNA, and then once they got those results, confirmed that our burned body was Miguel Lopez. It seemed like a really interesting case to me. Typically, you'll have a male defendant and a female victim. That's 98% of your domestic violence cases. And then just the fact that it was, cold for so long. The more time that passes between when the crime is committed and when you're prosecuting the case, almost always that hurts our case. Also, domestic violence relationships come with special pressures on the witnesses involved. It is a difficult calculus for them to make. Do they try and seek justice, or do they do what may be the practical thing and try and protect their closest family members?
During the trial, my sister was actually against me.
What her little sister did is repeatedly denied to the police that anything had happened. I understand perfectly well where she's coming from, and I don't fault her for trying to protect her mother and her brother. I just think it highlights how exemplary Maxxy's behavior was. Maxxy had to know that this was ending her relationship with her mother and her brother. And of course, she had already lost her father because of the murder. So she was losing her closest family members. We subpoenaed Mia, who's now an adult, to come in and to testify. That morning, while she's sitting in the courthouse in a hallway, Melquin calls her from jail.
Si te preguntan, esa persona never actually llegó ese día. Nadie.
Okay.
Melquin was constantly trying to coach Mia on what to say. Heidi didn't overtly coach Mia, but she's a very manipulative person.
Her and Melquin were really close too. She had him at a young age, so I think like they grew up together. My honest thought is that my mom controlled him because he was not the type of person that would just switch up like that. Her encouraging Melquin to keep going, that stood out to me because I was just like, that's your son? I can't believe that my mom would ruin his life like that too by asking him to do that. I was a little scared thinking like maybe what if the court doesn't believe me, or what if this goes wrong and they're out and they're gonna come for me.
We had the testimony of two witnesses, Maxxy and the other woman who helped out in this murder. And then of course, when they disposed of his body, they parked right in the middle of a surveillance camera screen. This process ended with 12 people chosen from the community. They come up with a unanimous verdict, and in this case, validated Maxxy and held the people who killed her father accountable. And that's justice.
There's a part of me where I feel like I just can't believe what they did. And then the other part of me, I miss them still. And I miss like what we had all together, how we were just a big family. At the core, I even forgave them, so I wouldn't have like anger and hate towards them, because I don't hate them like in a bad way. Like I just hate what they did, and I hate how they just broke our family. Now I feel like a big weight off my shoulders. I feel like I did the right thing, even though some people say, that's your mom, that's your brother. Like, how could you do this to them? How could you put them in jail? And I'm like, yeah, it's my mom, but that was also my dad. Me and my sister, sometimes I wish she was closer to me and like more united, because I really do miss her a lot. I also thought about my younger brothers. I knew that me doing this and saying the truth was going to have them with no parents, but I hope they don't think that I left them, just because I wanted to. I hope they know that I'm still like thinking of them all the time.
I think that Maxxy, in this case, in seeking justice for her father, has displayed courage that is rare. I would just say to other people in her situation, don't doubt that we will take you seriously and we'll provide the resources that we can provide to try and help you get through the process.
Yesterday I was able to finally visit the grave. I didn't feel like sad, like crying, but I felt just a big like weight off my shoulders. Like, this is where he will always be resting, and I could come at any time now. I could bring stuff, I could decorate for him.
Pues sentí dolor porque es el último lugar donde va a estar descansando y no pudimos darle el entierro que merecía.
This is the ring my dad got me when I was younger. When I see stuff I remember about him, I just think about him and be like, oh, he would have loved this.
Simplemente darle las gracias por todo lo que me enseñó y siempre querer abrazarlo.
I realized like there's a lot of value in life still. Even things didn't go as supposed to. I still have family that cares about me. I still have friends that still care about me, and I know that they love me.
Mi nombre es Francisco Javier López Zabaleta. Mi hermano Miguel de Jesús López Zabaleta, y siempre lo voy a tener en mi corazón. Para siempre.
I hope he's proud of me, and I will tell him that I miss him so much and I love him, and that everything I do, it's for him.